And there we are. We are live with this is a new show. I'm going to take a second and bear with me, people, as I share this to my own Facebook
Yep.
wall. Oh, well, there it is now. And we're apologize for the time that we kind of got things a little bit discombobulated, and I think of
Yeah.
the Facebook post was confused, and then we had a miscommunication. So,
I
but
was late.
we,
Let's just put it out there.
I wasn't gonna say. I
I
wasn't.
kind of ignored the timeline and I didn't realize it was super scheduled.
It
And I
wasn't
was
super
just
scheduled.
talking to
Okay,
people.
why is this not?
I take full
Yes, you
responsibility.
do take. Yeah. Oh, great to see you,
Hi,
Patty.
Patty.
Okay, there we go. Share the post. Okay, so if you want to take a second, of course, and click like on the button there, and click share to let people know that we've gone live. That would be super
Mhm.
super helpful. So um, yes, so here we are with we've
Why
been
is this not showing?
we've been talking about this for a while. Sarah, great to see you. Good morning.
Hi, Sarah.
Good afternoon, of course, where we are. So
Yep.
yes. Um, so we've been talking about doing this live show for a while.
Yeah.
And really, for some of you had followed what we were doing, we would go live. We were going live through our church up through August. We were doing every other week on Tuesday. It was Tuesdays, right? I
Yeah.
think it was. Yeah, Tuesdays we would go live
Every 2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so we've been talking about carrying that forward in some format or another.
Mhm.
And also, just by the way, before I keep talking, just audio check. I think the audio probably sounds fine, but if you guys can let us know if it's too low, that would be super helpful as well. So, but you and I have been talking about doing something where we carried
Yeah.
that show forward. We enjoyed doing that.
Mhm.
Great to see you, Susan. Hello from the other island, Prince Edward
Vancouver
Island.
Island.
Yes. And so this is perfect sound. Great, Lean. And it's great, Lean. You can jump on this one much easier. Lean's in Norway, I think, is where Lean is. I might be wrong with that, Lean. But she tries to jump onto the Tuesday night show, and it's right in the middle of the
It's a terrible time.
Yeah.
I know time zones are so hard to
I
pick.
know, yeah, they are. It's true. Yeah, I remember talking with a young girl one time. She was like 6, and she was wondering how Santa went to everybody in the middle of the night.
It's not logical.
And the whole time zone thing,
Right?
Was
because he's
because there's only one time, right? There's no like variation.
Denmark. She's in Denmark.
Denmark. There we go. That's right.
I've been on lives where there's people like in the UK and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go now. It's just 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I always think I'm like tired because it's like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of respect.
Yeah, that's
that.
I think that's parent life. Yes. Well,
I think I just like to go to bed.
You do. That's true.
Hi, Curtis.
Yeah. Great. The beard's coming in really well. So thanks, Curtis. So we're gonna start doing this. This is probably the only one we'll do before the end of the year, but because next week is basically Christmas.
We'll start again in January.
Yes, but so we wanted to get started by the end of the year. Connect with you guys. Sleep is amazing. Yeah, Sarah, that's so true.
Yep.
And so we're starting. This will be our Thursday show where we're going to. And part of the dilemma with launching it, we were going to launch it earlier, right? But trying to find, we were, but we couldn't find anybody to watch the kids consistently.
That's right.
So the young one,
there might be a toddler.
There may be a toddler on the show sometimes. He's got some great thoughts. So, this is what we're doing. We're basically over the years, people have submitted questions to us. They've talked about their struggles with us. They've sent us emails asking us to address certain topics. They've posted on the blog. They've responded to the newsletters. All those types of things. Or we hear them on the Dream Show, or Dream classes. And so we've compiled a kind of a rough sketch of these are the things that people struggle
Yeah.
with when it comes to walking life out in God and knowing the Father, knowing
Mhm.
Christ, becoming Christ-like, living this Christian life in a serious way.
Yeah, and I think too that a lot of the questions, you get the same, you start to see a theme as well with the questions. So you notice that it's not just, questions aren't unique necessarily just to that person.
Right.
You start to see like, oh, this isn't just this one person struggling here. This is actually a much broader struggle, like in the body.
Right.
And so I really love when people ask those kind of questions that are broadly applicable as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Because then you
absolutely.
can address them and this is reaching lots of people. And I
Right.
mean, they're questions that we can relate to too.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Either something we've struggled through and feel like we have found kind of a place of victory. I don't like how it sounds. Anyway, or it's something that we're
It's
actively
less
struggling to.
Yeah, it becomes less of a struggle, you find.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm overly honest, so I'll just say if it's something I still struggle with. But I think that there can be fruit in that as well.
Right.
And we can encourage each other in the struggle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes just say there's something to be said for being productive within it.
Right.
And going, yeah, this is a daily thing for me, but here's how I keep going.
Yeah, that's right.
And
so
that's
you're right.
Our hope as well, is to be just like normal people who are encouraging one another as we're called to do.
Right. And you're right, though, victory is probably the wrong.
It sounds weird.
It does. Well, it's really I've taken.
It makes it sound like you've like reached some epiphany or pinnacle where that's just way down there, and that's just not been my experience.
And that's how we communicate these things.
Yeah.
It's like I can say I've conquered, as a man, I've conquered the struggle with pornography or lust, right?
Right.
But then I also have to put measures in my life that keep me from going there.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not so much that I'm saying, well, I'm never going to be tempted towards that.
Right.
But in my life, I put boundaries, and I put relationships in my life. I put bumpers in my life, if you want to use that kind of language, to keep me from going there. And so if I think that it's, let's say, what's his name? He was a cardinal in the Catholic Church.
Obviously, I don't know.
Giovanni, something. I don't
have my Catholic cardinal cards right here.
Giovanni something. I can't think of his last name. Anyway, he says the man who doesn't believe he will fail is the first one to fail.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. You think you're above it and you've succeeded. And I think different seasons can propel us into something that we thought we were through. Like, we can get blindsided by life. And anyway, so I think our hope is to just be speaking truth, speaking the gospel, and in lifting up one another in the body of Christ.
Yeah. And it's interesting when we see so many questions that carry the same tenor. We realize that we really all are in this struggle together. That my struggle is not separate and distinct from your struggle, although my life is separate and distinct from your life, from the life of the other person.
And I think that's where it can be hard. Is I think for me, I'm always trying to give practical things, but the thing is, at some point, that's where the ownership comes, because really we all have the struggle can be the same, but our circumstances around that struggle are where, like, that's all the variables.
Yeah, that's right.
Like my life doesn't look, even our lives look different.
Yeah, for
right.
Sure, yeah.
Like I'm in the house with kids most of the time and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And you're in an office and you're in the church and you have this thing. So even like our circumstances, day to day are different.
Right.
And you've got, and then everyone circumstances. I mean, it's millions of variables, but that's where we have to take these principles. And I think that's where the personal work comes and the ownership comes to go, okay, how can I take this principle and how can I apply this to my specific life?
Right. Yeah. Jesus never.
And that's where grace comes in.
Right.
Right. The strength to actually do that.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And apply it.
Yeah. And
that's the whole thing.
Jesus said, come to me, he
things.
did say a lot of things, but he said, take my yoke upon you. My burden is easy and light, and I will be your resting place. Right. He didn't say, I will come to me and never work again, never put any effort in again. He said, I'll be the resting place. Right. So the Christian life really is the struggle to get back to that place of resting in him constantly, time and time and time again.
And it's holding this tension of the spiritual and the earthly.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah. So
let's move. We can't get too far.
No, we'll get, that's true. So the goal is to go live for half an hour every Thursday. And yes. And so Erin has warned me multiple times about how long-winded I can be.
I said we both can.
Yeah, I know, but we know that you really mean me when you say that.
I kind of meant both of us.
Yeah. Fair enough.
It's easy. There's just a lot of topics.
So there is. There is. And so that's the show. So we'll be doing that. And you're always invited to join, to participate, comment your questions.
Send questions.
And some of it, sometimes it's very personal. I've noticed that when people send an email asking a question, they feel more comfortable being personal. So, if you have a question that is very personal, then send us an email, because we'll address the topic without exposing who the person is.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
And because we want to be a resource of help for people as they journey through life with the Father. So great to see you as well, Renee. Thanks for jumping on. So in the last time people saw us live together was August. What's been going on in our lives since then?
No, not sure.
Christmas?
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
Well, you have an office now.
Yeah.
I painted this wall.
Yeah, Erin painted the wall. We got this lovely road behind us.
Our kids went back to school, and now it's December.
We're trying to keep the plant that's right behind you alive. And yeah.
Very normal things.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. There's nothing big. That's right.
Now we're doing this.
We do. I will say though, with what we've been working on, we have just been in the process of launching a new online training academy.
Yeah.
And which is hosting all of our courses and all of the training, and again, working on being a resource for people, to train people. We just finished a dream class, training up more dream interpreters to impact the world. And then coming in next year, one of the major things that we'll be adding to what we do with Wind Ministries is you will be offering prayer for inner healing.
Yeah. I'm working on getting that.
Yeah. So that's probably one of the next big things one of the next big projects we're trying to knock out of the way. Erin's been in a long journey with a ministry that we love called HeartSync Ministries, and going through training certification process. And so we're hoping that in the first part of next year, we'll be able to begin offering that in that sense to help people as well. So that's probably the big things coming. There's lots of other stuff that we've got coming down the pipe, but that's one of the most direct ones, and I'm excited about that. So anyway, our topic for the day, because we've got 20 minutes left.
What's our question?
Our question, let me bring it up, that was emailed in probably 6 months ago or so. And in response to the question of what do you struggle with? Because that's one of the questions I like asking people. What do you struggle with? And the question or the struggle that this person shared was they struggle between just sitting in quiet before the Father and listening over against telling him all my thoughts.
Right.
And
so they can't quiet their own voice.
Well, that's obviously one dynamic in that struggle is I've got a lot of things. Sometimes prayer can feel like spewing at God.
Yeah. And I
the
mean,
yeah.
it's not necessarily wrong.
No.
You just don't want it to be only that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think this is where balance comes in.
Right.
It's not much of a prayer life if it's only doing that.
Yes.
But to say that you should never do that would be kind of anti-biblical. I think of Habakkuk or Habakkuk.
You could say it either way, I think.
I'm going to say Habakkuk, right? It says like he goes and he makes his complaint to the Lord.
Right.
Right. And it's pretty long. If you read it, he's pretty upset.
Right.
And so he tells God, this is who you're supposed to be. And this is what's happening. And I'm mad about all these things. And I need you to figure them all out.
Right.
And he kind of spews, like he lets it all out. He doesn't seem to hold back. He's very honest. But then it says he goes to the rampart, which I think is a dock. In my mind, it's a dock. And he goes, but it says he goes, is it?
I love how you just invent interpretations.
I do it a lot. Because I feel like I can, then he's just like this old man sitting on a dock.
We'll say it's a dock. That sounds great.
And I don't even know how old he is. But it says he goes to the rampart and he waits.
Yeah.
So he gives his complaint and then he goes and he waits for a response. Right. So now he's done. Right. But he got it out. Right. And he was honest and he told the Lord, this is my struggle. Right. This is my angst, right? Right. But then he demonstrates a trust in the Lord because he's not just spewing it to the sky. Yeah. Right. And for him, he's speaking to God. And so he expects a response. Yeah. Right. He is saying it in expectation. Yeah, that's right. And in my mind, like he's saying it with an openness. He's not saying this is what it's going to be. Right. And this is what I expect. But he is saying, here are the problems. They don't seem to match up with some of these other things. So I need your help. Then he goes and it says he waits. So that's the quiet. Yeah. Now he's quieted himself and he's listening in anticipation for the Lord to respond, which he does. Right. And he accepts, and then he takes the answer. Right. Right. And I that's kind of the model that I try to do. Right. I have a lot of complaints, as you know, with the world and with people. I'm very
well, and and the inner struggle too, like you wrestling with your own stuff before the Lord as well. It's not just with people in the world. I
mean, let's be honest, the world is really messy and ugly and it's fallen. Like it's a fallen world. So it's not hard to find something to be confused about. Yeah. There's sin everywhere. There's death. There's destruction. There's injustice. There's hypocrisy. Right. A lot of it is even in the church sometimes. I mean, I'm an observer and I'm an analyst. So I'm constantly analyzing. And so I've had to really work to stop myself from going so far down those trails. And I succeed a lot of the time, but not all the time. Right. But one thing I have learned is that's the model I try to do in my own inner life, especially when it's my own struggles. Right. Right now, a really big struggle for me is holding on to hope. That's something that I'm finding really hard. And so I will kind of like bleh to the Lord and just and it's me kind of just verbally processing. Sure. Going, I don't get this. I don't know what to do. My brain doesn't understand anything helpful right now, but I know that this God of the Bible is who I'm speaking to. Right. And I know there's an answer. And you're not just
spinning your inner thought life.
No, and I'm not even at this point, I'm not even.
Which can happen, of course, the spinning of the inner thought life.
Yeah, I'm not spinning anymore. I used to do that.
You're directing it somewhere.
I used to spiral a lot, probably, 20 years ago now, but I went to counseling, went to therapy, and she gave me a ton of really great practical ways, and those have really helped me. Right. But I'm going to the Lord and I'm expecting a response, but I think one of the big things I've been able to let go of is I don't expect a logical response anymore. Right. Like I don't expect like, A plus B equals C.
And here's your 4 steps that you need to take.
I don't expect that. I don't even expect, I kind of am like, my brain is, it's there. It's just not going to get it all. Right. And that's fine. And I'll keep analyzing and all of this, but I'm expecting him to respond and touch my heart. Yeah. And my brain will catch up, but my spirit is so much more actively connected to the Lord. My brain has too much messy information.
Right.
Because it reads all the research and it reads all the opinions and it's thinking all the things.
That's right.
So when I'm expressing to the Lord, I'm really anticipating and wanting him to touch my heart and give my heart rest and peace. Because if my heart can find rest and peace, then my brain can connect to that.
Yeah.
What do you do in the waiting? Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm like this. And that's going to really depend. For me, here's the thing. Like, I'm not going to pretend to be overly spiritual. Like, I'm a very real person. So for me, sometimes I do really good in the waiting. If my life is if I'm not feeling super stressed and there's no big kind of stressful or big things happening in my life, I can do, like, what I try to go for is to find that peace in the waiting.
Right.
And I try to keep my spirit at rest. And what I mean by that is I become very intentional about what I put into my mind and my eyes.
Right.
And so I will do things like, about a year ago, I deactivated my Facebook.
Right.
Because it was totally wrecking my rest. I noticed when I was on there, because I have a lot of people, I had a lot of people on Facebook who are in different parts of the world, and they're really political and they're really like social justice viewpointed. And there's just it was just really provocative statements and like clickbait and
you had started that process even earlier than that, because remember, you defriended a whole bunch of people as well.
Yeah, a few years ago, after we went through a big conflict, I had some people that were just, the stuff was not life-giving, and some of it was even kind of toxic, and I felt bad about that, and I want to be passive aggressive, but I felt like it was like, no, sometimes there's a point where you need to just cleanse what you see.
Right.
And then I took it off my phone.
That had been ongoing.
Yeah. Then I took the app off my phone. Then I just deleted it because it was just bringing me, I noticed I could feel my heart rate rising, and it was inducing anxiety, or just, it was, I like conspiracies. I like digging into that stuff. I'm pretty like suspicious person of governments and all this. I'm just making myself sound like a lunatic. I don't really care. But I don't want to go down these paths. And so I had to stop feeding the pathways, is really what it boils down to. For me, that meant deleting Facebook. Right. And this is where it becomes personal. You have to look at your own life and examine yourself and say, what's feeding my anxiety? Right. It may not be the same for you that it is for me. So one of those things was just being careful. Or like, I like to read the news. I need to just make sure I limit that. And I love research. I love information. I like knowing what's going on. I like understanding. I like reading different sides to a story. Right. And that's fine, but I need to be careful about how I'm even using my time. Right. I don't need to be doing that all the time. And so if I'm struggling, like right now, I said I'm struggling with hope. So I need to be careful that I don't go too far into things that for me feed hopelessness. Right, sure. And that means really for me, like, I can tend to take on responsibility for things that aren't mine, like, saving everyone, for example. Right. Or like a big thing I've been trying to remind myself is I cannot change someone's heart. I can't. Only the Lord can change a heart. Yeah. I can demonstrate the best that I can walking with the Lord. I can speak truth, but none of us can change someone. Right. But I think sometimes we take on that responsibility, and it's because we care. Like, we really care deeply about what's happening. Or if we watch someone doing something hurtful to others or themselves, we want them to change. Right. We see potential. We want people to reach potential, but we can't take on responsibility. Right. And I can tend to do that. Now, when I take on a responsibility, I can never fulfill that's pretty hopeless,
right?
Because you're asking yourself to do something that can't be done.
Yeah.
So I'm working on reframing. And
Right.
so in that reframing, I have to just really be wise about what I'm listening to, what I'm dwelling on my thoughts. And so I do things like I try to just meditate on a scripture. Or like, I mean, right lately I'm like using worship music a lot. And I don't always do that. But right now, like the other day, I just put music on and I was kind of saying to the Lord, like, man, I'm like having trouble controlling my thoughts. Like, this is really hard. So why not? It's a tool. I'm going to put this worship music on so that I have something to help me stay in a place that I want to be.
Right.
So use things around you that are helpful, and then just asking the Lord too in the waiting, ask him for patience. Right? Like, because it's hard to wait, especially, but then look for what he's doing in that moment.
Right.
Because when we're waiting, the wait is totally real and valid. But what the wait doesn't mean God is stopped working in your life.
Right.
He's just not maybe doing the thing you want.
Yeah.
Or he hasn't given the answer yet, but he's doing other things. So look for that. What else? What are you learning? Or what's before you right now? Right. Like when we wait on God, it doesn't mean we just stop doing anything.
Right. Yeah.
What's before you?
Remember there was a conversation we had a number of years ago, and you had been wrestling with, if I remember right, you had been wrestling with, I think it was just after Cassian was born. So we definitely lived here. And you had been wrestling with, like, he was sick, you were praying for him, God didn't do anything about it. And then you got sick and God didn't do anything about that. And it was partly within that. And it was partly within the struggle of, because he had the tongue tie, and then so he didn't breastfeed properly. And so you were wrestling with that whole thing where you loved that connection with Savannah and Finley, and then with Cassian, he had to be bottle fed because of,
it was I had like anxiety through the roof, and disappointment, and like postpartum hormones, which, as any mother on here knows, are incredibly helpful.
Right.
If you're trying to be rational.
Yes. which every father knows, what is happening right now? I don't know what to do. That is.
Sometimes I would feel like I could just see the hormones, and they were just like these little people with spears. Like, don't come near me.
I love you so much.
What's your point?
So my point was, hey, Kim, great to see you. My point was, we were talking about that struggle because you were frustrated with God.
I was crying out to God for it to heal these certain things, and he didn't. And I was like, why not?
And then,
because I actually have faith, and I actually know that you could. So I know that you're choosing not to. Right. And I don't like that.
And what I remember in the conversation, we were talking about framing it through the lens of Isaiah 29, where it was, the wisdom of your wise men will perish, and the wisdom that's taught by the precepts of men is coming to an end, basically.
Right.
And so in the conversation, we started talking about how maybe God just wants to be with you in the midst of all this, rather than just answering all the problems. And because we've got this total mindset where we think, I prayed, God didn't answer. Yeah. And so he doesn't care.
Well, so that would be,
I've removed a relationship, right? And intimacy and union from the whole equation. And so I remember that seems to me that was a significant demarcation point for you.
Well, I think now that's about 3.5 years ago. So now my language would be language I didn't have then. I would say, that was what we do. And I see this constantly now, is like, we've commodified the Lord. God is a commodity.
Yeah, that's right. That's such a good way of putting it.
This is broken. I need you to fix it. You didn't fix it. So he's like a bad manager at a store that won't help you.
Right.
It's totally transactional. And I mean, I will say, like, I knew enough to go, I know that's not real. Like, I know this is my frustration. But I also know it's not God. Like, I'm missing something.
Right.
And the truth is, I was talking about this. I have a I have a friend who's kind of struggling with this idea of suffering and God and all of this. And we were talking, and I brought that up, and I kind of had this, sometimes you're talking about a thing that's in the past and you realize you've kind of grown past it but you didn't know that had happened. And I said, yeah, I really have no answer for that. I really don't know. I still don't know why. I don't have a logical answer as to why God said, I'm not going to heal these things. Because he could. I still know that's true. And he didn't. But I said, I just don't need it to be a thing. I don't need the suffering to have been. I don't feel like God did that to me to learn something.
Right.
It's just part of what happened.
Right.
And it's something that God met me in, and I don't understand it, but I also don't need it to be this big lesson in order to accept it. I don't have to gain something, because it isn't a product.
Right.
It's my life.
Right.
Like for me, if I make the suffering a product, and I'm not saying we can't learn things from suffering, because obviously we can, and we all have, so please don't hear that. But I am saying not every single thing is A, caused by God, and B, for a lesson. Right. I don't think I learned any. What would I have learned?
Right.
Couldn't breastfeed your baby. Great. I've learned no. I didn't learn a lesson, but it was a thing that God met me in, and then I came through it.
Right.
And now my life continues.
Right.
And everything is okay.
Right.
There's other sufferings I've gone through where I've absolutely learned a ton.
Sure.
And I could see God working in it in the moment and teaching me things. This just wasn't like that. So there's probably just different kinds.
Right.
But it was more like he was like a friend walking with me who was not able, like any of us, when you walk through a friend who's going through something and you desperately want to fix it, but you just can't. You just don't have that ability. And you walk with them. And, when you get through that thing, you are now bonded with that person.
Right.
And so I do feel like it bonded me more to the Lord. But I think it's because, he was always there. He didn't become closer. But I laid something down. Right. That thing being this commodity.
Right.
I kind of just accepted, it doesn't work like this.
Right.
God isn't a manager.
Right.
Who's there to give me a refund when my product is broken.
Right. But we do treat our relationship
with them like that. We absolutely do.
And you could probably say,
maybe stronger.
I don't
know about strength, but
I think you actually,
I feel like I know more. I feel like I discovered something, I got to know, I know a facet of God better.
Well,
and that brings me something.
Maybe what you could say is, you came more, but through the struggle and through that journey with Cassian, you were more in touch with the weakness of your humanity and met God in the midst of that weakness.
Yeah.
And so it's not so much that you become stronger, but you recognize more and more that he's there in the midst of that.
Yeah.
And so you can, the end result isn't struggle stronger, right? The end result is,
I think
I actually recognize just how much he is with me.
Yeah. And I think so maybe what it is actually, I found that I was super weak, and I can't really, some things you just can't change it.
Right.
It doesn't matter how much you want it, but I got that much closer to strength.
Yeah.
Like as a child, right? When they're upset, they run to the parent because they aren't strong enough to deal with their hurt or whatever's happening. So they run to strength, to the parent to help them.
Right.
And I think maybe
they don't have the strength in and of themselves, but they know where to turn.
But I know now how to access that strength differently.
Yeah.
Or I trust it probably is more when there is something I can go to God and I can find, I think maybe, I can find comfort easier. I can find the pathway.
Right.
It's less hidden for me now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. One of the things that we want to do, we could probably just keep.
It's not the original question at all.
Well, it is, but it is the original question, because ultimately the struggle between being in quiet before the Father and receiving and then telling him all the things that
well,
you need is it's almost a misdirection on what the actual struggle is, because the struggle is walking in life with him.
mm-hmm.
The struggle is not just figuring out how does prayer work in this 15-minute window. And that there is a struggle with that. I'm not saying there's not a struggle with that, but the question shows that there's a bigger, the ontological problem, if you will, about walking with God.
It's the whole cliche too. It's a journey, not a moment.
Yeah.
But it kind of is. And I know, like, those kind of questions, I've struggled, like, okay, got to do my 15 minutes. And I think, again, it's nuanced. Everything.
Right.
I'm tired of things not having nuance.
Yeah.
Because I think nuance is so important. And I think we lose so much when we ignore it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of us feel so much pressure because we don't get nuance. We get a meme that's do this. Yeah. And if you don't, you're a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So helpful. Thank you, terrible world. I feel so encouraged. No, I don't. I feel like I'm a problem. So why should I try? Yeah. Nuance with this tells us, have some grace for yourself, but also, like, challenge yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
It's both and, right? You don't have to, if you literally cannot sit before the Lord in quiet,
right?
That should tell you, okay, I want, like, if you're asking the question, then this person obviously has that desire.
Yeah.
So bless that desire in yourself too. That tells me, like, wow, I think it's so amazing. Like, I would bless the desire in you that you want to so much to hear the Lord.
Right.
And you're kind of recognizing, oh, something's going on that's keeping me distanced and making it hard to hear.
Right.
That's great. So give yourself 5. Yeah. I give myself actual high fives a lot. I recommend it.
Yes.
And say, good, like, I'm on the right track. And now you make your kind of plan, but don't be nice to yourself, though.
Right.
And so maybe what you need to do is just, like, let yourself actually, like, everything to God.
Yeah.
Because it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It's not sin. It's fine.
Right.
Right? Get it all out. And then say, like, now I'm just going to sit and wait. But you don't have to actually just, like, sit. You can. But if you have other things, you can continue. Like, I do a lot of dishes. We don't have a dishwasher. And we have 5 people. So I do, like, hours of dishes. Yes. And you know what, though? Like, it's a great place to listen. But you're still doing something. So it's not boring. Am I allowed to say that sometimes sitting and listening is boring?
You can't say that.
Sometimes it's great, and sometimes you got to do the dishes. But you know what? You can listen and do the dishes, and God will speak, right? Or all these people who revelations when they're taking a shower,
right?
But just it's like practicing a muscle. Just give your stuff to the Lord. Tell him your opinions. I think he wants to hear them.
Right.
But then go, okay, now I'm going to listen. And I'm going to do my best to release my expectations, because maybe God is going to say something different,
right?
And then just work on attunement.
Right.
So by that, I mean, and if you need to, this is where I would start the practical things. Like, if I have trouble remembering, I'd put a reminder on my phone.
Right.
Like, every hour, it would just say attunement. And I'd take a minute, literally a minute, and go, like, okay, I'm just going to take some breaths and, like, focus on my spirit connecting to the Lord. And I'm going to remind myself that we're listening. We're listening now. Our mind and our spirit are listening to the Lord. He may not speak in that moment, but as you practice that daily, right, it's going to get easier. Right.
It becomes more routine.
It does. And then before you know it, like, you're going to be driving around and a thought's going to drop in your head out of nowhere and you've heard something.
Right.
But I think that's where it does become about submitting that part of yourself to the Lord. And then there's the ownership piece.
Yeah.
Where, like, what do you need to do to make this happen?
Right. Yeah. That's really good. I love the practical stuff that you just shared. Really, really good. Okay. We've been going for a while now.
See, and I told you it's not just you.
Yeah, that's true.
Who talked a lot.
I know. That's right. I know. I feel like I was left out. I need to talk a lot now. One of the things that we want to do as part of this, half an hour show is just spend a few moments with you guys who are on here and see if the Lord has anything prophetic encouragement. And so we've just been, let's see. I've just been looking at the names of people that are commenting, and so if you have anything, I can scroll up and down so you can see all the people on there. And because that's a significant part of the Christian journey, like it or not, to our cessationist brothers and sisters. But it is, I mean, encouraging one another is a significant part of the whole journey of coming to grips with following God. So we do want to spend some time on each one of these live shows, seeing if there is any prophetic words kind of hanging out there. Right. And so the only thing that I have is, I think for Karen, if I see you just commented a few minutes ago, so I'm going to assume that you're still on. And Karen, one of the things I saw when you first commented was there's a situation that has seemed big, and it's been ongoing for like the last 3 to 6 months, something like that. And I just saw the Lord. It's like redemption started happening, and it went in that situation, and the redemption happened way quicker than you thought it would. And it's like you're looking at this big thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that God could move that quickly in that situation. And so in looking at it just everything shifted. And so I just felt like the Lord is changing the perspective on a situation that seems too big for him, not too big for him, but just a situation that seems large and difficult to find redemption in. And it's just like, watch what God's going to do, because he is bringing redemption. And the way that you'll see it will be completely through the lens of what he's done. And it'll no longer be the situation as it stands and as it's kind of been hanging out there, but it'll like, oh my goodness, it was so perfectly summed up in what God did. And when I see that situation, when I look at those circumstances, all I see is God has redeemed something that I didn't know was redeemable, or I had struggled with seeing his redemptive process in. And so I just see God doing that. So pay attention to what he's doing. It's not like I get the impression like it's going to happen tomorrow or it's going to happen in a month. I don't know. I just know that there's been that situation that's been hanging out there that seemed too big, that's definitely been pressing for the last 3 to 6 months, that it's like all of a sudden God started redeeming it, and you didn't even realize that it could look so, it's almost like it could look so neat and tidy, and only God could do it. And so just bless you in that place, in the waiting, right? In the waiting of, in that, as we've been talking about, just bless you in the waiting of that, just to rest in him and see him working and see him moving. I don't know if you have anything for anybody.
Not yet. Can you scroll up?
Yeah, I will. Yeah. So I hope that made sense, Karen. As with all these things, great to see you, Sean. As with all these things.
And Lauren asked, is this going to be bi-weekly? Is it? Maybe?
Well, we're talking about doing it every week. So
every week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to buckle up.
Yeah, apparently. Lauren, but we probably will not do this again until January.
Yeah.
Like after Christmas.
We said that at the beginning of the live stream. We'll be doing it after.
But we'll post on like the Facebook page and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm just showing you who's on here, if you had anything. If not, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
So I've got to scroll up through the chat so Erin can see who's on there.
It's good. You can go back down.
Okay. Let's see. Hey, as with all the prophetic stuff, we always hold these things loosely. Like, no one of us, like nobody, like, well, my wife is pretty infallible.
Obvious, yeah. As I've just,
here's
all I'm opinionated.
And every husband should think their wife is infallible. But no, none of us actually. No one's infallible in
Yeah, you don't have to listen to anything.
Yeah, exactly. We share.
If something doesn't sit right,
that's right. That's
feel absolutely free to both tell us and reject it.
Yeah, we're sharing what it is. We're trying to sensitize ourselves to the Lord and then share what it is. I just realized that the monitor is on the screen. I didn't realize that. Anyway, sorry. I just got distracted.
That's an inside thought.
That's an inside thought. Yes, thank you. But it came outside. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes it's a source of contention in our marriage when my inside thought comes out. And so yeah, we hold those things loosely, saying I'm sensing, I'm feeling, I'm hearing. But as with all these things, no one of us is a perfect vessel. But Karen says that Josh, that's so accurate. That's very, very helpful. So.
I think I have something for David Boda.
Oh, there we go.
Because I saw him.
Yeah,
his name David. Was there. It's not now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kim.
Yeah.
100%.
Here we go, David.
So like I'll just say it. It was like trying to figure out specifics, but the picture I have is like two opposing magnets. You know, like if you flip two magnets and then you try to push them together and they're like this, but they won't actually go. And I think it might be talking about like there's something to do. Like I just see like computers and stuff. So I don't know if that's like work related but there's something that it's like you're trying to force. I don't know if you're trying to force something or it's you and someone and you're trying to make something fit and it's just not fitting and it's becoming frustrating. And I see like the Lord's hand coming and just being like, just hold on, just whoop. And he like flips the magnet and then it clicks. And I think that it's like he's saying like just be open to like one thought kind of flipping something for you. I don't know if it's like it might be just like seeing it's like maybe a creative thought, right? Like where you're like, wait a minute, what if we try this?
Yeah.
And it's like the key to like unlocking that and making this thing stick. And so I guess I feel like the encouragement is like there is a way to make this thing work and it's not wrong to be trying to put it together because it is actually supposed to be together.
Right.
But there's like something that needs to flip in order for it to come together. And so I just my feeling is like it's going to come in the form of a thought, a new thought, and you're going to see something either that you didn't see before or see something differently. And that's going to kind of unlock it and put this thing together. And that I just like, I hear God saying like, my timing is on this. So to not be so discouraged that it's not happening right now, I think there's like a far bigger reason for that.
Right.
It's almost like a purposeful delay that's actually going to bless you in the long run.
Yeah, very good. Okay, I hope that makes sense, David. And so, David, we bless you.
Mm-hmm.
We bless you to be open to the thoughts that God would drop into your lap.
Yeah.
And sensitive to respond to those things. And David, we just celebrate you. You're awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
I think anything else?
Mm-mm.
Nope. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
30 minutes goes fast.
30, yeah. 40.
I knew it would.
50 minutes. Yeah.
Oh,
50
gosh.
minutes later. Yeah. That's wonderful. I have about 5 different creative projects that are in that unknown zone. Yeah. So I receive it. Yeah. Very good, David. So yeah, we just bless you, David, and we bless you, Karen. We bless everybody. Like that you just walk in a way that that your hearts would be open to the Father, especially in this, like always, but just as we consider the season that we're in of Christmas and the coming of Jesus and the transformation of the whole world and redemption of all things.
Yeah.
As we consider those things as part of the Christmas season, the reason for the season, then we just bless you to respond to the Father and to walk with him and to expect him. And
remember, as Christians, on our darkest days, we're still light.
Yeah, that's so
because
good.
This is a rough season for many people.
That's quotable. On our darkest days,
right?
we're still
But like,
light.
we're still, you can be the rudest, grumpiest person. You're actually still light.
Yeah.
Like, don't be rude. But
right. Yeah. Don't use it. Well, I can be whatever I want. I'm still light.
like, be nice.
Yeah.
But, you know, like on your worst day, or if you feel that cloud, that dark cloud of emotion,
Yeah.
and you're trying to, you know, it's just happening,
That
you're
doesn't define
still
you,
light to the people around you. Spiritual light. Their spirit sees it.
Yeah. Paul doesn't
it goes
say
beyond the expression on our faces.
Paul doesn't say, now that you have gotten it all together and walk like someone who is full of light, you are full of light.
Or you're only light when you feel like it, and when you're in a good mood.
Yeah, he says, you are children of light, so walk like children of light. Yeah.
But you're a child of light regardless.
Yeah. Your actions flow from your identity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all kinds of stuff. We got all kinds of other stuff we'll talk about. And like I said, you probably won't see us live. Maybe there'll be an impromptu thing or something, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Before
in
January in the new year. Yeah. And in the meantime, we bless you. Merry Christmas from our family to yours. Happy New Year's. And yeah, we love you guys. So
we'll see you soon.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. Okay.
Bye.
Until next time. Bye.